Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Art History, the Female Perspective, brought to you by Ina Dow on the Near Protocol. I'm Gemini Rising, and I will be your host today. Today, we are going to talk about a living artist called Cindy Sherman. Cindy Sherman is an American artist. She was born in 1954 in New Jersey. She studied at the University of New York in Buffalo, where she focused on painting. She later switched to photography because she thought that her ideas became or came across better through photography than through painting. She's known for her conceptual portraits, where she is always the subject. She challenges gender roles and societal stereotypes. She also uses elaborate costumes, makeup, and digital manipulation to transform her characters or herself into various characters. Um, she pushes boundaries in photography for sure, experimenting with different types of film, prosthetics, different media, including in her later work, tapestries. She also delves into the unsettling and uncanny, challenging our comfort zones. Um, she developed her first um, conceptual portraits called The Play of Selves, where she is doing an exploration of identity and role playing. All of the images, all of the people in these images is her. Um, she is very interested in transformation and the construction of a persona. It's also known as bus riders, and it's a series of 15 photographs featuring herself in various disguises as various bus riders. So that's her first work, which was done in 1973 to 1974. Her next work was called Murder Mysteries, or Murder Mystery, sorry, done in 1976, kind of inspired by cutouts and collages focusing on the theme of artificiality. They're basically made from cutouts of old magazines where she has superimposed her face. Um, and it comments on the artificiality and stereotyping of mass media. Her next set of work, she always worked in series, was called Centerfold. These are images from her series, which examines the objectification of women in media and society. It was originally commissioned by Artforum magazine, um, but they declined to publish it because of the intense psychological nature of the images, strangely enough. Here's another one. So it never got published, but she presented it anyway in 1981. Excuse me. Her next series was called Rear Screen Projection. Um, also done in the 80s. It's she basically transitioned to a large format and color. Um, Here she poses in front of various background backdrops that were rear screen projections, which was inspired by the rear screen projection techniques in a lot of classic Hollywood films. Her next work was called Pink Ropes. Um, there she is again. Like I said, she is always uses herself in all the images that she makes. Uh, she's basically depicting herself in various stages of undress or relaxation, drawing attention to the voyeuristic tendencies of the people like us who are watching her. This work is considered one of her more provocative works, as it confronts viewers, yourselves included, with intimate, private moments of her subjects. I think I stated this before. Um, all of her work is basically done in series format. Her next series, called Fairy Tales from 1985, again, it's herself in these images, but she uses prosthetics and mannequins sometimes, creating a sense of uncanniness. And despite the name Fairy Tales, uh, it's a pretty far from innocent type of fairy tale depicting sometimes grotesque and disturbing scenes. Um, yeah, it's very interesting work that she's doing using herself, a very conceptual type of practice. Done at the same in the around the same time, disasters, where again she uses prosthetics and is introducing the elements of horror and decay, as you can see in the image on the right. Um, she stated that the desire, her inspiration, sorry, not desire, her inspiration for the series um, was inspired by her fear of the dark, and apparently she also does not like horror films, but neither do I. So we have something in common, I guess. Her next series, done in the late 80s, actually 1989, is called the Sex Series. And this is the first and only series where she doesn't actually put herself in the shots. She's using medical dummies in suggestive poses. And it's basically a significant departure from her previous work. So, pretty interesting, I would say. Her next series, done in the late 80s to 2000, or sorry, 80s to 1990, is called History Portraits. Um, she basically restages settings of European portrait paintings, um, using herself, again in the role, playing both male and female roles. She doesn't actually aim for accuracy. She's basically referencing historical paintings, um, and she uses them to critique societal and artistic conventions. Again, all of these images are of herself. In the early 2000s, she did a series called Clowns. I don't know about you, but, and I know a lot of people are like this, but I find clowns pretty creepy. Um, this is her first foray into digital photography, done between 2003 and 2004. Um, Basically, it enabled her to do sort of chromatically garish backdrops and montages of numerous clown characters. She It was her first major work using digital technology and allowing her to manipulate images and their layers in new ways. So, continuing on, she did her next series in 2008 called Society Portraits, um, where again she uses herself and caricatures affluent women of high society. Um, Despite the reference to these women and to high society, they're not based on specific women. Um, they're more based on society and um, the obsession of status and youth in our culture, which is basically insane. But as you can see, um, she embraces this idea of, wanting to be young, wanting to have status, and it's her reflection on um, Western society. In 2010, she did giant murals, which were um, featured at the Museum of Modern Art as its North American premiere. Um, it basically showcased her transformative abilities and her exploration into identity through digital um, manipulation. It's a very large scale installation, as you can see on the picture on the left, and actually the one on the right, where the person is walking underneath, and the guy on the left is in the crane putting these pieces up, so you can basically see how big these pieces were at the Museum of Modern Art in 2011, I would say. Um, she does have an Instagram page where she basically puts out things she's testing around. These are her Instagram portraits that she did in 2017. Um, Also, very interestingly, nowadays I found out she has been using AI, putting her previous images in AI and creating new images out of them. And this is basically the first kind of foray, not using AI, but manipulated self portraits. This project was actually part of a series with W Magazine concept, using the concept of plandid, which means planned candid photography. Um, yeah, so it was for W Magazine. Again, these images are all of her, um, selfies of herself. And yeah, she used a lot of photo correction apps at that time. There weren't that many, but as obviously time went on, she progressed as well. In 2019, she did a series called Tapestries. These are very large images. Unfortunately, I don't have a comparison, but they are very, very large. They're self portraits, again, where she's used herself. The tapestries were made in a Belgian workshop. Um, I would say that uh, they are at least 6 feet high, if not higher. Again, I don't have an image where somebody is walking past so you can see the difference. Um, she takes a step away from photography and is experimenting with fabric and texture, basically bringing her work into the realm of the textile arts world. Um, Very beautiful pieces. Um, yes, too many ums. Her next series called Androgyny, um, which is 2022 to now. It's basically the first work where she has um, portrayed herself as a male figure. Uh, she wanted to stay away from it because she didn't think she could portray it properly. Um, but by now, she has decided um, to go ahead. It focuses on androgyny, obviously, where she's exploring gender fluidity and the challenges of traditional gender norms. Um, it was released in a New York exhibition where she's depicted male figures in each of the 10 pieces, presenting a nuanced exploration of gender and identity. She collaborated with designer Stella McCartney, like Paul McCartney's daughter, actually, but a designer in her own right. who provided the clothes she wears in the images. Her latest series is called Ugly Fashion or Anti Fashion. Um, it's basically a series challenging gender norms, fashion norms, standards of beauty, and showcasing the unconventional and ugly fashion. Um, this series was a commentary on ever changing standards in beauty, the fashion industry's influence of these standards, and here she is basically employing deliberate distortion and manipulation of fashion imagery to challenge the viewers, like ourselves, perception of beauty. Cindy Sherman is an influential American artist, well known for her unique approach to contemporary photography. Over her career, she has received numerous awards and accolades, including the MacArthur Fellowship, also known as the Genius Grant. Her work is held in collections of major museums and privately all over the world and has been exhibited extensively um, all over the world, demonstrating her impact on the art world. Um, Despite her career's breadth and depth, she continues to evolve as an artist. Like I said, she is right now, if you go on Instagram, she does have an Instagram account. She has been using AI to explore new themes, techniques, and tools. Um, and I think, as with any artist, the thing is to keep on learning and growing and exploring and finding out um, how far you can push boundaries. And Cindy Sherman has certainly been an influence of this boundary pushing idea. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next one. Have a good day.